All right, and we are live. Hey, what is up, YouTube boxing family? It is K Rod here. I am back with another good boxing live stream for y'all today. Let's get right to it. We have a lot of good fights that we're gonna cover. Um, I don't know if I should start with the Golden Boy card, but I'll probably get that out the way. I wasn't really too impressed with the fights, but I will give credit where credit is due to the brothers that perform well. So, yeah, salute to a lot of those young fighters that were on the card as of last night. Um, I was definitely super duper impressed with some of those fighters, and that was actually a very good fight card that I had a very good, night to, enjoy their skills and talents. So yeah, let's get right to it. Um, I'm going to be talking about some of the undercard bouts that I was impressed with. I'll even let the main event out the way. But let's talk about. Well, first off, let me just give a call out to Ramla Ali. See now, I don't really talk so much about her because even though that she is managed by Anthony Joshua, um, I don't think she's that good. I think Ramla, she has proven to the world that she's not ready for the high level, and the way she fought against Shelly Barnett, that fight deserved a little bit more of a longer longevity to last. But I wasn't impressed by her. She looked like the same fighter, just way too timid to try to get into pressure, and she doesn't really have that much punching power. She's not that type of fighter that gives you that type of like scare to be like, oh wow, she's gonna be that next big thing. And my my response to that is no. I don't think Rama is that good. I think her skills shows for what she can do at her level of competition, but if you just amp it up a bit and give her somebody like, well, I mean, I don't even want to say like, older women, like let's just say women that are just as young as her. I think Ellie Scottney can beat her. Um, I think a woman like Georgelina Guanini, she could definitely beat her. Karina Fernandez, she's a sister of Diana Fernandez. She could definitely beat her. Who else? I mean, there's really nobody else here other than maybe Amy Timlin, but I don't think Amy would, be that, educated enough with her, fundamentals to actually try to outbox, Rama. But I actually wouldn't mind that fight, have that made out in the UK, like why not? I personally, would like to see that fight, and I think that's a good fight to make, like if both fighters can, come to a possible agreement to fight. But I think that's a good fight. I think Sharetta Metcalf can definitely beat her, and oh yeah, yeah, and definitely Stephanie Cohen. I think I think Stephanie Cohen can definitely give her some problems. Hey, what's up, Judah? Hey, if y'all want to come in to chop it up with me, here's a link if you guys want to come through. But salute to Judah Ben Israel, thank you for coming through. I appreciate you for coming through, but also I am going to give you a wrench so that way you can be moderated. So here is your wrench if you want it. But yeah, man, that fight card was just weird. Golden Boy fight cards are just like top ranked fight cards. A lot of shenanigans, and I wasn't impressed. That actually got me pissed off. And every time when I see like a Golden Boy fight where I know that this fighter is not that good and they don't deserve the victory, then I'm gonna call out on it because I don't think that that those particular fighters are that good. And I think eventually when you amp up their competition, that's going to show on fight night. So I think Rama, she's going to be food for somebody out of the 122 super bantamweight division. But let's move on forward with some of the other fights. We're going to be talking about Mr. Who? Oh, Alex Rincon versus Luis Madeo Sanchez. Um, that fight, I was really shocked. I was shocked that Luis Sanchez actually got knocked out, and yeah, like I think honestly, that fight just really showed a lot of deficiencies out of Luis Sanchez's skill set, and I was just absolutely surprised because if I'm not mistaken, Luis Sanchez, he's that type of dude where he's not like the type of guy to get banged up like that, and the way Alex Rincon set himself up to defeat him, he did a very good job. So I definitely need to give him his credibility because even though he's 26 years old, I think he's in the same age bracket as me. But yeah, he's a very good, heavily talented fighter. He's a big 154 pounder too. He's 6'2" with a 74-inch arm reach. Those are some really good genetics. But if you could keep him there at 154, I think he could definitely scale super duper hard at the division. But I think this type of fight with Luis Sanchez pretty much proved that Alex Rincon, he has insane power and he knows how to take people down. When he sees what the opportunities to break, to break their weaknesses down. But Luis Sanchez, he was also the smaller, shorter fighter coming into this fight. He's 5'9" with a 72-inch arm reach, and he's a orthodox. And I believe Rincon, he's a southpaw. And knowing that Luis Sanchez, he's been, somewhat active. I mean, he's actually almost been out of the ring for. Well, actually, no. Luis Sanchez, he's been out the ring for a year. So his last fight was in December 4th of 2021, and then he just comes back and faces the southpaw. Oh hell no! That is a no go. I am very sorry. You do not face a southpaw coming off a long layoff, and Alex Rincon just obliterated him. So I don't understand why Sanchez would do that. Maybe he had something going on where. Well, actually, wait a minute. If I'm not mistaken, Sanchez actually took this fight on short notice. So now everything's puzzling together to me now because it's like Sanchez is not this type of dude to like look this bad. So now, now everything's coming to my mind to think that this possibly could have been like a setup. I'm not too sure, but I'm really hoping that it's not. But either way, there shouldn't be no excuses. It's like, why would you want to take a fight short notice if this was a possible scenario against a undefeated southpaw that's willing to knock your head off? So I just find that really weird. I don't understand why he would do that. And I really hope things are okay with him because it's like he definitely should have built his, built his record up a bit more just to get back into the swing of things, and then he'll be able to like hyper scale into his matchmaking, with tougher fighters. But either way, the state of 154 is actually pretty super stacked, and I mean, I would definitely keep away from Brian Palaco because Brian Palaco, oh my god, that dude, he's like honestly like my honest view on Brian Palaco is that he's a mix of mm, he's like an Antonio Tarver mixed with mixed with a Carlos Ortiz type of fighter. And I think that's a good fair assessment because everything that you see out of him now, it's gonna it's gonna transform him to being such a ultimate level complete fighter where he's gonna be so dangerous to the point where you can't figure him out. Because one, he's a true boxer puncher. Two, he's a very unorthodox deceptive southpaw where he doesn't show you any changes in his game. He's just like a big fundamentalist type southpaw, similar to Errol Spence's school of fighting. So I think he's a really good fighter, and he can develop well. Is he a lightweight K Rod? Honestly, well, if you're talking about Brian Palaco, no, he fights at 154. He fights at the super welterweight division. So, if you're talking about Brian Palaco, he fights at 154, and that's the same division with Luis Miguel Sanchez and Alex Rincon. But yeah, Brian Palaco, he's a beast. I would definitely keep him away from Xander. I don't think Xander and Brian would be a good hyperscale matchup. I think maybe somewhere down the line, if they could fight each other when they get to a world title stage, yeah, sure. But at this stage where they're rookies, in the game, I think Brian Palaco, he's going to make a lot of damage. He's basically in that same boat with Charles Conwell, honestly. So I would definitely keep a lot of your favorite fighters away from Brian Palaco because when he's knocking on that door and he's going to be smoking everybody, just watch out and just say that, I was right. But nah, Brian Palaco, he's a monster, man. Like, everything that he does now is just going to, come through later. Okay, I thought it was 47 at first when I first seen him. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, I'm not so sure. I think he's always started at 154 because that's what I heard from from Brian Palaco. He said 154 is his natural weight. So I mean, honestly, I don't think he would do well at 147, but I think 154 and above, he just skyrockets. He has a good frame. He's long. He's athletic, and he has such good ring IQ. Like literally, a lot of people don't talk about that, but his ring IQ is really, really good coming into the game very, very late, honestly, because he started his professional career at like 23 years old. So him fighting at 24 right now, leading up to the rest of his career, I think Brian's going to be moved fast, but he's going to be moved collectively smart. And then once he gets up to that higher level of like that level of opposition, I think Brian can easily defeat a lot of your favorite fighters. I would definitely even keep Erickson Lubin away from him because the way he fights now, just just imagine at like 20, at 20 plus fights, like Brian Palaco is gonna be a whole different fighter. Mark my words. But yeah, credit to Alex Rincon. I actually enjoyed watching him fight. He looked really, really sharp. He he was throwing some bombs at Luis Sanchez. And sadly, as much as I have to say that, because I gotta always back up my Puerto Rican fighters, but guess what? If I knew that you weren't gonna win this fight and you got blown out by a dude that no one doesn't know too much about him now, people are gonna look at that to use that as a as a premier victory. So unfortunately, Luis Sanchez, he couldn't get the job done, and hopefully he can come back stronger because I think Alex Rincon, he'll be a problem for some fighters, but I think based off of his style, he's like very predictable and he leaves himself wide open in certain exchanges where he knows he should get out of it the way, but I kind of feel like he has too much pride to stay inside that pocket. And I think he comes from like that Mexican style type of fighter, school where his trainers try to tell him to just keep going keep going at your at your opponent and just take up all these damn blows knowing that you can box, and if you have the boxing ability then use it, because I know he can box. It's just that he's not moving his head. So I find that really, really weird. Judah said, hell yeah. Like I was saying to Kano this morning, wait till all these dope young Puerto Rican fighters get in their prime. K-Rod, it's over. Yeah, 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 most definitely. Because what gets me pissed off is that a lot of these Mexican boxing channels try to say Puerto Ricans are trash at boxing, but if you look at their styles and compare it to Puerto Rican styles, the Puerto Rican fighters scale a lot harder than the Mexican fighters because a lot of those Mexican fighters, a lot of them, are basically trained to fight one way. They don't fight any other type of style other than just come forward, throw those big, mighty, macho man punches, and then hope that, they can knock somebody out. and that's just not going to work. You have to, expand your fighter skill set, and you have to be around certain different types of styles and whatever gyms that you could go to that could offer you the next level of being up there. Because once you get up to that high level, to the world championship level, you need to have really a lot of people say that, at the world title level, you need to have like a certain type of like in a certain type of signature, like in a fighting style to win. But that's not really true. It's more like you have to have really, really good defense at the world title level. And if you don't have good defense, then you're not going to win a world title. So that's why when you see guys like Errol Spence and all these really good Black American level world championship athletes, a lot of them focus on defense. And when they don't focus on defense, that's when they could get outgunned by somebody that has better defense, better ring IQ, better defensive, offensive reads, and then they're able to outgun you. So I disagree with what anybody says about these Mexican fighters being so good at boxing. A lot of them are really not that good. I mean, compare Canelo Alvarez to any of the all-time greats, of his particular divisions that he's campaigned at. If you put Canelo in that era, I don't think Canelo would survive. I don't think he would survive against a Roy Jones Jr. I think Roy Jones Jr. would box his ears off, and he would very well knock him out. I think James Toney would knock out Canelo Alvarez. I think Antonio Tarver would knock him out. I think so many people from 147 all the way up to 160 back in the old days would destroy Canelo. But it's like now a lot of these racist boxing Mexican fans, they try to use boxing as a political front to make excuses for their fighters, and they have no balls and they have no honor to actually be honest about their fighter skill set. At least for me, I at least keep it honest with the fighters I like. And then on top of that, I get involved in the sport myself to understand what the fighters go through, and understand like the sheer amount of training you have to go through to be primed and ready. That's a really, really hard commitment. And, I can even compare it back in my day when I used to wrestle back in high school. You have to be ready. When you're not ready, someone's going to literally take your lights out. So, in wrestling, when you're like about to get into like your very first match and stuff, right? You have to weigh in on the same day of your match. But in boxing, you weigh in the day before. And let's just say if you're going up against a dude that's like really, really tall, he's stocky, he's built, but like, you could obviously tell, he's not that type of guy to be like at that weight class. You still have to make sure that you're rehydrated to a point where you're able to take that physical damage, because that's going to be like the biggest cost in the match itself. That's going to make a big change in what you do in the match. So compare that to boxing. That's really, really tough, because if you're not ready and your weight is not the natural weight that you're supposed to campaign at, if you get hit at whatever point in your body and you go down, that's it. You can't get back up. It's the same thing with wrestling. If someone just takes you down at the wrong place at the wrong time, and your body's not able to take enough resistance to it, you're going to be outgunned, and then you're going to go through some medical issue where something bad could, very well happen to you. So that's a really, really big, flaw in the sport of boxing that a lot of fighters try to force themselves, into, where they think that they're able to become a weight bully, in this particular division. But then one of these days, when they're trying to, drain themselves to make that particular weight, it's like, that's not good. Take a look at what's happening with Virgil Ortiz. Virgil Ortiz, he's sitting up inside of the hospital, and who knows, like what's going to happen with him. But I hope he's okay. But dude, I like honestly, like imagine if Virgil was able to fight this, this past weekend, and let's just say Michael McKinson hit him really, really flush to the head or wherever, and Virgil just passes out, and then we don't even know like what happened until maybe like a day or two later, like we find out what like no like what really happened. I would just be like, well, see, like I saw that shit coming. So I just think that that type of stuff needs to be taken seriously, and a lot of fighters really need to be checked, you know, on a daily basis by like some, experienced level medical team to like make sure that they're able to make that weight. Because if you're meaning to tell me that you can just be like a weight bully at like 168, and you know that you can't make this weight anymore, you should have limitations put on you where if you can't make the weight no more, you have to, perform some form of like physical, fitness test to actually make yourself qualified and eligible to make that weight. Because I find it so weird that commissions don't be very strict on this, like, to say like, okay, well, if you want to campaign at this weight, you have to go through some pre-qualification courses. Because, compared to any other sport, like, I mean, there's a reason why people play certain positions in sports, and they have certain sports medicine professionals to make sure if you're actually made for that position. So I think boxing should have something like that, where they should incorporate a weight check, screening type of stuff, where, it like, if you want to campaign at like 160, 168, you have to go through some pre-qualification, physical fitness tests to make sure you're able to make that weight comfortably. And then on top of that, make sure that every boxer has a good nutritionist. Don't be, having these fighters, think that they know how to cut weight, but then come fight night, they just pass out, right? So I don't know, man. I think honestly, everything that's just, a setup now, it's absolutely disgusting, and it's really dangerous. But Judah said, um, right here, I hate when Mexicans say that too, because they both the same people, but Ricans fighters edge Mexicans in skill. Yeah. Definitely. I think Puerto Rican fighters just show that a lot of them are more focused on the pure boxing fundamentals, and they're not really focused on trying to like bang, like with like a lot of fighters. But I just think, like, based off of like the level of skill set, we tend to see Mexican fighters try to mix it up a lot, and that's what usually gets them knocked out 9 times out of 10, especially with a good pure slick boxer puncher or just a pure boxer. And I probably say that the kryptonite to a Mexican style fighter is a Black American style pure boxer. And if you're able to do that 9 times out of 10 in a big fight, depending on who your favorite fighter is, then that Mexican fighter is going to lose. But I'm not like going to say that Puerto Ricans are are the best all the time. There's some Puerto Ricans that I think that are not that good, but I just think, when you scale it out, Puerto Ricans have a higher ceiling over Mexicans, and the Mexican, boxing stables, worldwide, they don't train on boxing fundamentals. They train on just trying to get a knockout and trying to brawl it out with you. But yeah, that's very much my take on it. But the other fights that I wanted to cover with Evan Sanchez and, well, I'm not going to talk about Beck the Bully. Beck the Bully just looked like weird. That fight, I wasn't really so impressed. But Evan Sanchez, he came off of a long layoff. And for those of you that don't know who Evan Sanchez is, I believe he used to fight on Ryan Garcia's, undercards, and he was a decent little fighter. I didn't really care so much about him, but as I started to see him fight more, he fights very technically gifted, and he has such a good, how should I say, he has such a good technical mindset, working inside the pocket, and I like how he fights. He's a decent fighter. He's at a Parlier, California. Basically, he's from like some farmers, community county, but he's a decent little fighter. He just got a recent unanimous decision victory over Alejandro Munera, a 6-4 for fighter. Decent fight. Evan did what he had to do. He got the victory. He's currently 11-0 with 6 knockouts. That was a good, decent fight. I mean, he's not like the best fighter out there, as far as like up and coming rookies, but I will say he's heading into the right direction. He's 11-0. So I probably say some good fights that we like to see him in. I wouldn't mind a fight with Rashad Mahdi. I wouldn't mind a fight with maybe Clarence Booth if that's a possible fight, or even I don't know. Honestly, 147 is very dangerous and very stacked, but I would definitely keep him away from Brian Norman Jr. Uh, I wouldn't mind a Mark Reyes fight, but I think Mark Reyes he's gonna go a different direction. But I definitely like to see that fight somewhere down the line. I wouldn't mind a Kendo Castaneda fight. That would be a good fight if that's a possibility. Um, I think honestly, anybody in the top 200, he could definitely give some problems. But I just wanted to show him some some notoriety, respect to him, and he definitely came out to fight. He definitely got Alejandro hurt, and I believe he knocked him down in the fight, and he did very very good. He actually did a very very good job. So I have to give him a lot of credit for that. Hey, what's up, Teach? Salute to you. Thank you for coming by. Judah said Mexicans brawl too much. That's gonna be Virgil's downfall. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Of course. That's why that I don't like anything out of what the Mexican style fighting, because that's really a recipe for disaster. Because if you mean to tell me that that Mexican style beats any style, then Floyd Mayweather should have got knocked out by Juan Manuel Marquez and all these, all-time Mexican great fighters, in which, a lot of them fail to tell you that, that their style doesn't work against people with good high ring IQ and good defensive awareness. And then on top of that, when you're flat-footed, you're just going to get outboxed, the whole 9 yards. So I don't think Mexican style is really that good. And I mean, whenever I see that in the ring, the best way to offset that and to counter that is that you just use your jab. But I would throw jabs to the body, because if you throw jabs to the body, they can't throw those wide looping shots because they're going to start getting tired. So you start uppercutting that shit, and then you start, sticking and moving to make sure that you create enough separation in the fight itself, for you to win. So I just find that absolutely insane and just weird how a lot of these Mexican boxing stables think that's a good style, because if I'm gonna just keep doing that, I might as well use my upper body movement and try to force that pressure to the body first, and then you start using those, uppercuts, and then you start maybe mixing up a little Mike Tyson style where you move your head, because a lot of them they don't move their head. That's the really biggest flaw out of the Mexican style brawler type of fighting style. They don't move their head. You just come one way. You don't fix up anything. You don't make any adjustments. You don't do any of that. But compare that to Mike Tyson's fighting style. That's basically what it is. But that's a true inside boxer puncher type of style, because Mike Tyson, he knows how to box, but the thing is that he decided to take it to that level where if he moves his head while he's inside the pocket against bigger and taller fighters, he wins, because those big guys are just flailing their punches, hoping that one big punch can just hurt Mike Tyson. But that doesn't work like that, because Mike Tyson was so athletically gifted as a heavyweight, because his main weight that he came in was at least 215 pounds to at least 220 pounds. So you have to think about it. A really, really super fast heavyweight like Tyson that had good defense. He had really good high ring IQ, actually, when he was with Cus D'Amato and Kevin Rooney. That was actually good. Mike Tyson did a very, very good job doing that. But if you compare that to the Mexican style, that's like F level performance fighting, because you're just coming one way. You're not moving your head. You're not using any lateral quickness. You're not using any proper angles to get someone off of their rhythm. And you're not using the pressure collectively. You're not using it in a educated manner. You're coming in like a raging bull in a Chinese closet, and you're just hoping that something hits. That's not going to win you fights. There's never been a fight like that in the history of boxing where someone has ever won a fight like that. You have to learn how to box. That's why it's called boxing. It's not called knockouts. That's why a lot of fighters that do that end up getting knocked out. And I'm not wrong, right? But no, like, I just have to put that out there because, I don't ever like seeing that type of fighting because that's just rock'em sock'em robots for a recipe for disaster. But no, credit to Evan Sanchez. He did his thing, man. He's a really, really big welterweight too. He's 6 feet tall, and I want to say his arm reach has to be at least, I want to say like a 74 inch. He has really, really long arms to be fighting at 147. But I like to see him in there with a lot of good names like Lucas Santamaria, Alexis Roca. I definitely say put him in there with maybe Speedy Rashidi Ellis. I wouldn't mind a Michael Fox fight. I think Michael Fox can definitely give him some problems, but I think that's yet to be determined based off of what he's gonna do. But he's only 23 years old, so that's why that I like watching him fight, and I figure that I give him that credibility. But let's move on forward with the next couple fights. Um, we had whatchamacallit. We had Mr. Well, I don't want to talk about Michael McKinson. He beat Alex Martin, and that fight was absolute dog shit. I was actually laughing the entire fight because Alex Martin had the ability to hurt him, but he didn't use his punches, accordingly, and Michael McKinson just outboxed him to death. But yeah, let's talk about the main event. Alexis Roca versus Blair Cobbs. This is an absolute just terrorizing ass whooping. Alexis Roca, he did his thing. He was beating Blair Cobbs to the punch, and Blair Cobbs, he just got whipped, man. That that fight was absolutely just funny, and I was just laughing my ass off every single round that he got banged up, and Blair Cobbs just looked like he looked like such like a like I don't even know how to explain it, but Blair Cobbs just got absolutely demolished, and that was like the best fight of that card, where Alexis Roca, he just took this man to deep waters, and he just beat the hell up. Best fight ever. Alexis, he knocked him out with like a good left hook, and then he was just pounding on him to the ropes. But yeah, Blair Cobbs, get out of boxing. You're not that good. You suck. And Alexis Roca, I don't think he's that good either. I like to see him in there with Lucas Santamaria. I think that's a good style to be put up there, with next. But I want him on a Michael Fox fight because I think Michael Fox would definitely box this guy's ears off. And I actually want him on an Abel Ramos fight. I think Abel Ramos would stop him, but I think Alexis Roca, he really needs to leave Golden Boy because the way that Golden Boy is moving these type of fighters, I don't think he's that good, and I think he understands that as he moves up in competition. But yeah, this nigga only has like 20 plus fights, and you knocking out Blair Cobbs, okay, fine, that's a good decent victory. But at the end of the day, it's like when he starts facing like guys out of like the top 100 in the welterweight division, don't be surprised if Roca gets knocked out because he's basically the pure definition of Mexican style. Just come forward, like basically hope that something comes, like some big punch comes to his disposal where he could try to knock you out or hurt you, and he's gonna get caught with something big coming back, and he's gonna get knocked out. But yeah, I didn't really see anything out of him. He just looked like a basic average, come forward fighter. But Blair Cobbs, he's a piece of shit and he sucks. And the Errol Spence curse is officially real. Yeah. Judah Ben Israel said, not at all, lol, headhunting and not guarding as a result to a clean knockout. Asked Blair Cobbs. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, Blair lost every round. Yeah, he did. Blair Cobbs, he looked like absolute dog shit, and he didn't even look like he was there to win. He was actually just there to, try to be cocky, walking into that ring, thinking, "Yeah, man, I'm the man now." I was talking all that crap to Errol Spence and Terrence Bud Crawford and everybody else, but then the minute you got hit and the minute you got your ass whipped, what happened? You got your ass demolished. And that's why that I enjoy watching boxing, because boxing is the ring of fire and the theater of the unknown. And if you don't know who you are as a fighter, you're gonna find out real soon to get knocked out or to get exposed. And that's why, personally, I don't believe in being humble in any sport, but I believe in being hungry and just staying focused. Because when you do that, you don't care about the end result. You just care about just giving it your best shot. And that's really what makes boxing such a good sport, because boxing, is a very high level endurance, mental warfare sport. And what you can learn from the sport is that the more you dedicate your craft and you stay hungry, the better you're going to get. That's it. I mean, as long as you just put those pieces, together and keep keep working on the same deficiencies that you need to work on, you're gonna, keep leveling up to the next, task to be that better fighter. Spoj said, "What do you think of Edgar's fight?" I may have missed that part. Berlanga, he looked absolutely terrible, man. I'm actually gonna get to that. I'm just gonna cover a couple fights on the card, but yeah, Berlanga, he didn't look too good. I thought he looked a lot worse compared to his last fight against Marcelo Coceres. Honestly, I just wasn't surprised. I thought, honestly, Steve Rolls won the fight, and I didn't think Berlanga won anything. I thought he lost the majority of those rounds, and Mr. Rolls deserved that victory. Uh, Berlanga just looked scared. He looked very, very, hesitant, and he looked like that type of dude where he was just ready to just basically give up. I didn't think Berlanga showed any separation in that fight where he was able to actually do anything. But hey, if you guys want to join the panel, please come through. Like I'm always down to share a good conversation with you guys. I'll actually pen it. But yeah, man, Berlanga was just terrible. That fight was just an absolute wash. And I think Edgar Berlanga, he like honestly, as much as I don't like talking shit about Puerto Rican fighters, it's just that I don't see him making it to a world title. I think he's gonna get knocked the f out, and I think someone's going to easily crush him. If I was a professional fighter, I would beat the living shit out of him. I just know that because I know how to picture how he's gonna come to me. And Floyd Mayweather says it best: if you just come one way, you're not going to win. You can't just come one way. You have to come multiple directions. Obviously, I'm paraphrasing that, but still, you cannot win a fight just being one dimensional. You have to win a fight by being being multi dimensional. Sorry about that, but yeah, Berlanga's performance was just absolutely terrible, man. But it's just like, dude, I was just really, really sad, man. I was really, really depressed watching that fight, and I really wanted to, express like my whole mindset, just like looking at the screen and being like, "What the hell are you doing, man? You're just basically just giving up the entire fight." And like honestly, I don't think Berlanga, really cares. I think Edgar Berlanga is just looking at it as like, look, I know that I'm gonna be beat one day, but I'm just gonna just hang on until Top Rank feeds him to somebody that's going to beat the living crap out of him. I don't know. Like I think honestly, I think Berlanga is just food for 168. And I had, a lot of high hopes for him. I thought he would be that good fighter, but but the minute I saw him move weird against Kevin Newman and some other fighters that wanted to get it popping with him, it's just like I don't think Berlanga's, actually, wanting that smoke now. I think Edgar Berlanga, he's gonna get knocked off, and Bob Arum and Top Rank are definitely gonna feed him to somebody that's going to, destroy him. But Spoche said, "I love to join some time and just listening." Well, oh yeah, 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 definitely. Like it doesn't matter. Like I usually put it out there for people that actually do follow the channel, and I don't let any trolls come in. It's all family. On the panel, but yeah, most definitely. If you're able to come around one of these days, I definitely like to chat with some of y'all, man, or or any of y'all. But yeah, either way, that main event was terrible, and I don't want to see Berlanga be put on a main event again. That was supposed to be his night to dominate, Steve Rolls. So honestly, at the end of the day, I think Berlanga he needs to go back to his boxing roots, and if he's able to bring that back, I think Berlanga can definitely make it up there. Spoger says, "Yeah, man, I mess with your box opinions. You keep stuff level. Yeah, most definitely. I try to keep everything, impartial, and I try to, have like a clear mindset coming into, any boxing topic. It's the same thing with, with the, with basketball. Every time I make, NBA content, I just keep it, balanced, and I try to be factual as much as possible. But let's get on with the rest of these fights, and then I'm going to sign off. Um, let's talk about Xander Sayas versus Quincy Lavallée. Xander did amazing. His performance was absolutely S tier. I definitely give that a pure 10 out of 10 performance. I think Quincy showed that he is not ready to actually beat a lot of high level guys, and I think that him facing a legit certified high level rookie and Xander Sayas really showed that Xander he's ready for a lot of killers in the division. And I think what Xander proved to me was that he is very educated in his boxing fundamentals, and he just knows how to just take his time and just basically just break you down fundamentally. And I think honestly, Xander is like a mixture of Miguel Cotto with a little shade of Errol Spence. I think Xander is very multidimensional, and he has so many skills in his toolbox that we still haven't seen yet. And I think Xander, he's going to rise up to the occasion, and he's going to start beating a lot of these guys in the top 100. I think he could definitely beat possibly. I don't know if this is a good fight to make, but if he's able to fight a guy like Enrico Gogo Kika, I think that's a good fight to make. But if Enrico cannot make 154 and he wants to stay at 47, then forget about that fight. But if this fight can be made against Enrico Gogo Kika, I think he will destroy Enrico Gogo Kika. So that way he can make a good point to the division, in which I don't understand why he would actually be on here, because actually, wait a minute, I'm sorry. Enrico fights at 140. All right, so I'm sorry about that. I don't understand why BoxRec listed him as a 154 pounder, because he has fought at 154, but his last fight at 154 was back in 2016. So yeah, forget about that. I'm sorry, because I don't think Enrico would be a good, you know, fit unless he's not able to make that weight and actually do well. But yeah, moving forward, I mean, honestly, like I think he could do well against this one fighter that I like to see him in there with. I like to see him fight Tyrone James. I think he's a really good, you know, decent decent fighter. He's 12-0, 9 knockouts. That's a good fight. I wouldn't mind. Actually, Vishon Owens. I actually wouldn't mind this fight. Vishon Owens versus Xander Sayas. That's a very good fight. I think that's a really good fight. If that fight could be made at can be made at 154. Some other fights that I like to see on here is Leon Lawson the third. I think that's a good fight. Devin Alexander. That's a really great fight. If he's able to actually take on the challenge. Uh, Brian Mendoza, very good fight. Sergey Boyachuk, amazing fight. I personally like to see that. I actually want to mind a Brandon Adams fight. That might be pushing it a little bit too far, but I think Brandon Adams would be a very good matchup. Nathaniel Gallimore, a very difficult fight, but I think Xander would defeat him. But I like to see that fight. I think he could definitely beat a lot of guys in the top 50, if I'm not mistaken. But if we want to say top 100, He definitely has a lot of high ceiling, potential to defeat a lot of high level names. The one fighter that I think he'll have a really tough time fighting, in which I say wait until the fight gets bigger and then it gets built up to be made. I think Charles Conwell will give Xander a very difficult fight, and I think right now Charles Conwell would defeat Xander, and I think that's the same thing with Brian Palaco. I think Brian Palaco would defeat him too, but I think those two potential fights, if they can get made in the future, if they're if they're ever gonna stay out stay at 154, I think those are two dangerous names that you have to be careful with Xander being matched up against. I think that should definitely be weighted until I probably say Xander gets a world title or he's at the high level contender status. So yeah, I think Xander should definitely just keep on facing some good high level names and then just keep building up your record because he's only 19 years old, so you don't need to feed him off to the to the high level Lions Den fighters. So I think Xander should just be moving slow and just enjoy the ride because just imagine when he's 22, 23, he's going to be like a world champion level fighter, very, very soon. So I think Xander, he has a high ceiling, and I don't think a lot of people, understand that. In which I'm not trying to hype him up. I'm just keeping it real just to say that I think Xander Sayas will become a high level threat, in which that's never to be guaranteed. That's just to say that I think Xander could make some noise at 154 and above. Uh, how do you move a young guy like Xander? Is it a good idea to move him up in competition to fighting grown men, established fighters before he's in his early mid 20s? I mean, that's a difficult question, to really answer because I mean, if you really think about it, like look at Floyd Mayweather when he started his career. He started his career at like what 19 years old, and then he started moving up against like high level fighters. By time when he was like I think like 21 or 22. I think if anything, didn't Floyd win his first title at like 20, like I think 21 years old if I'm not mistaken. But I mean, either way, like Floyd Mayweather, he was like good enough to the point where he was being moved well, but obviously like the level of opposition that he fought, they were not the type of fights that we wanted to see. But by time when he fought Gennaro Hernandez, in which Floyd, he was already 3 years into the sport. I believe he was 21, if I'm not mistaken. But when he defeated Gennaro Hernandez, well, actually no, that was 2 years in. Yeah, that was Gennaro Hernandez was back in what year? That was 1998, October 3rd, and Floyd started in 96. So yeah, I think at that time frame, yeah, Floyd won his very first world title at 21 years old. So I think for Xander, he should just take his time. There's really no rush, honestly, because think about it. He's 19 right now, but imagine what he's like. Imagine what he's gonna be when he's 21, 22. That's like a very long time from now. But still, the amount of fights that he's doing within a year, that's very, very impressive because even though I did not like his last performance against that Italian dude, which I thought that was a cherry pick in my honest opinion. I think that was just a fight for him to stay busy. And then Top Rank decided to give him a tougher matchup against Quincy Lavallée, in which Xander made him look really, really bad and he dominated him, the whole 9 yards. But still, that's a very, very good victory because Quincy Lavallée, he's never been dominated like that. In which in his recent losses, he wasn't that type of dude to actually do deal well with pressure, and he has a good slick type of style, but it's like he doesn't throw his hands enough, and he doesn't move around the ring properly to actually try to outbox somebody. So I think that was a good perfect style matchup because it wasn't like a tailor made style. That could have easily been a hard 50-50 level matchup, but Xander definitely came out blazing hot. He looked really really good. He didn't feel like he was actually losing like a step, and he just looked so calm and educated like a seasoned veteran. So I think he's definitely going to hyperscale very fast, and I think leading into the future, he's going to definitely reach world title contention very soon because he's now 13-0. So eventually, sanctioning bodies are going to start putting him on there very very soon. But I think if we're going to be realistic, looking at the WBO 154 rankings, um, I mean, there's really a lot of killers here in the division that we could definitely say have a high ceiling to be a threat for Xander. But at the WBO level, um, we have guys like Tim Zhu, Magomed Kurbanov at number two, Bakram Murtazayev at number three, Patrick Teixeira at number four, which is surprising, Liam Smith at number five, Lubin at number six, Tony Harrison number seven, Carlos Ocampo number eight, and some Papet guy, some French dude at number nine, Terrell Gachet at number 10, which is very weird. And knowing that he's going to be fighting Tim Zhu, so that'll be very surprising if Terrell could pull off the upset. But if he could beat Tim Zhu, that's going to speak some volume. But yeah, he's at number 10. Ramos is at number 11. Conwell is at number 12. And then some dude named Baksai is number 13. Yeah, the 13 through 15 spots, I don't know too many about those guys. But yeah, that's actually really, interesting. But I mean, if he's going to go that route, I actually wouldn't mind that. If we do look at some of the other fighters in the rankings, um, I think. Hold on, give me 1 second. Yeah, boxing rankings. Yeah, over at 154. All right, here we go. So I already went through the Brian Castano or the WBO boxing rankings, but through the IBF, we have Bakram Murtazayev, we have Jack Kolke, Tim Zhu at number three, surprisingly, Austin Trout number four. Oh my God, Charles Conwell is number five. Wow. And then we have like two Germans that are number six and seven, and we have Carlos Adames at number eight. He fights at middleweight. Oh. Well, actually, no. They actually have him at number eight at 154. That doesn't make any sense, but okay. Troy Williamson, Brandon Adams, Ted Cheeseman at number 11, Vladimir Hernandez at number 12, Anthony Fowler at number 13, Kurbanov at number 14, and Takashi Inoue at number 15. Wow, that's sad. And then for the WBC, we got Lubin at number one, Fundora at number two, Tim Zhu at number three, Sergio Garcia at number four, Tony Harrison, number five, Brandon Adams, number six, Charles Conwell, number seven, number eight, Sergey Boyachuk, Liam Smith, number nine, Magomed Kurbanov, number 10, Israel Madrimov, number 11, Kerman Lajarga, number 12, Soliman Sissoko. Oh, shit, what the fuck? Oh, Patrick Cesara at number 14, Jared Hurd, number 15, and for the WBA, we have Israel Madrimov. He's number one, surprisingly. Michael Soro, he's number two. Kerman Lajarga, number three. Liam Smith, number four. Yoelvis Gomez is number five. What? Elvin Garbadov, number six. Number seven, Carlos Adames. Eight, Johan Gonzalez. Nine, Kieran Conway. 10, Conwell. 11 and 12 is Patpat and Sissoko. 13, 14, and 15 are guys that I don't know too much about. Troy Williamson and that Mexican and Argentinian dude. So, yeah, I mean, Xander's ceiling is actually pretty high. I think Xander is gonna do a good job, regardless. But whoever he needs to beat to get up there to the high level, I think Xander he's gonna destroy a lot of guys. I just think that Charles Conwell and Brian Palaco, those are gonna be some names where it's gonna be really really difficult for him to beat. But I think those are really difficult style matchups. So yeah, that's pretty much how I see Xander's ceiling at 154, and I think he's going to do well, but he just needs to be moved, very very moderate. So I definitely give Xander his his credibility because Xander, he's a beast. So credit to Xander. He definitely stole the show that night. The rest of the fights, I'm just gonna try to speed run these fights. But John Bauza, he beat Tony Lewis. I wasn't impressed with Bauza. He should have fought better in this fight. He looked really really bad. But Tony Lewis, he didn't really do so much either. But I thought John Bauza actually deserved a draw against Tony. I didn't really think Bauza actually really won this fight, but then again, I mean, if he wins, he wins. But I don't think he actually looked that good. He actually looked really, really hesitant and scared, as if he wasn't, hungry enough to actually try to knock out Tony. And I thought Tony was going to be susceptible enough to get stopped because he was the older, slower fighter. But John Bauza, he barely got the victory in my honest opinion. Same thing with Jahai Tucker. I thought Tucker looked absolute dog shit. He didn't look any good. I didn't think he scaled well with Tracy Magruder. I thought Tracy was piecing him up a bit until something came up with that with the fight itself where Jahai he was landing some decent shots, but he wasn't really doing anything. How should I say spectacular in the fight? He looked really really predictable. His defense was absolutely garbage, and I just thought that looking into that fight a lot deeper into the later rounds, late game, I thought Jahai Tucker looked bad, and then on top of that, he gassed out really really quick. If any of you guys actually saw that, but I think Jahai Tucker he needs to stay away from some high level, rookie welterweights that are definitely going to take him to school and definitely piece him up because I don't think he's that good and he needs a lot of improvement. So I think he needs to leave his father. He needs to leave whatever trainer he has, and you need to go back to square one and find a really really good trainer. That's my thoughts on him. Henry Mocho LeBron versus Joseph Ruiz. This was a good fight. I had a good time watching this fight. I didn't agree with the TKO stoppage. I thought the referee robbed Henry Moncho a opportunity to stop Joseph Ruiz. I thought Ruiz did what he had to do, but that was not the type of fight where we wanted to see the fight keep on going, and the referee just just basically made a bullshit TKO stoppage victory that didn't make any sense. It's very similar to the Chantel Cameron versus Melissa Hernandez fight where Chantel Cameron she was doing her thing. She was using her jab and she was hitting Melissa with some good shots. But when the referee just comes in there and just tries to stop the fight out of nowhere, knowing that Melissa she wasn't really hurt that much in the fight. That's what robbed Chantel the opportunity to possibly stop her. So either way, that's how I saw it with Henry Moncho LeBron's performance. He did very very good, but these bullshit referees need to be taken out of the sport to just let the fight play out and see what happens. So good job to Henry, and hopefully his cousin Orlando Capo Gonzalez can make a comeback very soon in his career, and he can, continue to garner more, victories. So, congrats to Henry Moncho LeBron. Same thing with Bruce Carrington against Yuri Andujar. That was a good fight. He knocked out Andujar with a good ass right left hook combination, and he did a very very good job. Bruce Carrington looked like a veteran out there. He was dominating, Andujar, and Andujar he was just a punching bag. Bruce Carrington took him to deep waters, and by the fifth round, he just demolished him. I definitely like to see Bruce move fast. I think he's ready for the high level, but I don't think Bruce Carrington should be fighting guys like this. I think it's time for him to be placed up against some notable names at 130. I mean, honestly, I think it's good and safe to say that he should fight some notable guys at at the 130-pound division. Um, I think he could definitely do well against a honestly, I wouldn't mind an Andy Vence's fight. I think that's a good fight to be made, and I wouldn't mind a Haven Brady, but I would just keep Haven away from him. I think Haven, he'll get dominated very bad by Bruce, and I think Bruce's skills is way too good. I wouldn't mind a Juan Antonio Lopez type of fight. That's a common opponent with Orlando Capa Gonzalez, so I think that's a good fight. I wouldn't mind a Tyler McCreary. I think Tyler McCreary will definitely bring the best out of him. Um, I think he should definitely fight a guy like hmm. I wouldn't mind a fight with Jalen Walker. I think him and Jalen should definitely get it going. I think Jalen will definitely present a challenge for him, but I think that will be a very good high level fight. I don't know if Jalen fights at 130. I think he fights at 26. But if he could fight Bruce now, I think they could definitely see each other later, and that will be a very very good high level chess match. Even though Bruce is a highly skilled boxer over Jalen, but Jalen has insane power, and Jalen has really really good inside pressure fighting, and I don't think Bruce is that type of dude to scale well against pressure. When it does get hot. But I mean, he does well against guys that are not able to use their pressure against him. So I like to see a fight like that where like we could see how well he's going to scale against guys that are going to actually scale with some pressure. So I think that's a good fight. I wouldn't mind Orlando Capa Gonzalez. I think that's a good fight too, and definitely Henry Monjo LeBron. I think him and Henry would definitely have a war, but I think Henry's career is going to be moved into a different direction to not fight him, and he's just gonna go his own particular direction. I wouldn't mind a fight between him and Martino Jules or Malik Montgomery. I think those are amazing fucking fights. Though, like those fights are definitely going to bring a lot out of Bruce's skill set, and I think he could definitely whip him. But that's going to be a very, very tough ass fights. Definitely with Jose Enrique Vivas. I think that's a good fight to be made too. I think him and Jose Enrique Vivas can be a good fight to be made in the future. But other than that, I think that's about it. Oh, I also want to mind an Edward Vasquez fight. This is the same dude that knocked out. Well, actually, no. That this is the same dude um, that fought Raymond Ford. So I think I think that would be a good fight to make. I'm thinking about Eduardo Ramirez. That's the dude that knocked out Miguel Flores, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, that's about it with all these potential matchups for Bruce. But I think Bruce, he's just getting better. So, he's definitely going to have to move fast because you're coming into the game late. So I'd say definitely just keep fighting like guys that are just as good as you, and then just keep building off of it. And then eventually, by like 10 plus fights, he's going to become a world champion very, very soon. I just think his ceiling is very high. So the last two fights, I'm gonna skim through this. Armani Almasika versus Luis Valentin. This fight was an absolute robbery, of a knockout. I thought the referee robbed another good opportunity to see a potential knockout being made for Armani. I didn't think Armani was that good. I think he's that type of dude where he's very predictable. He leaves himself wide open a lot, and he doesn't really have like this type of like skill set that some people try to hype him up to be like, oh man, he's that good, next big thing for Puerto Rican boxing, and I didn't really see that out of him. I saw a lot of open, like open opportunities for him to get hard countered and just get beat to the punch. But Luis Valentin, he's not a good fighter either. I didn't see anything different from him. He was, I want to say, the taller fighter coming into this fight. He was 5'11", and I think Armani he has to be like 5'9", or at least maybe 5'10". Yeah, he's 5'8". But I just find that surprising that you would leave yourself wide open to get hit by the shorter fighter when you had the height and reach advantage over him. So I think eventually he's gonna get knocked out by somebody big, like obviously bigger than him, and they're going to have better boxing fundamentals than him. But I mean, he's a good, decent southpaw fighter. He's not no high level technical southpaw. He hasn't mastered those skills yet, but he's only 20 years old, so I think his ceiling is actually pretty high. I'm not gonna lie. I want to say I actually saw this guy train over at the Evolution Boxing Gym in Orlando when I was down there in Florida. But if I did, I definitely probably saw him working the heavy bag, and I think I saw him sparring too. So I'm not too sure, but if we ever see each other again, I definitely need to, say how I feel about him. But I don't have any hard feelings, towards him. Like you just need to work on the fundamentals. That's all. But definitely look forward to seeing him fight again. But I really hope he just works on his skills a bit better. And last but not least, we have Kelvin Davis versus Philip Carmouche. This is an absolute terroristic nightmare. Kelvin Davis beat the living crap out of Philip Carmouche, and that was just a really good fight. I thought Kelvin, he looked really good. He scaled very well, with his boxing ability, and he did what he had to do. I mean, honestly, I think his height and reach advantages over a lot of fighters in the welterweight division is going to be a big problem. I think honestly, if he were to fight Jahai Tucker the way he fought, I think Kelvin would knock him out pretty fast. I actually wouldn't mind a fight between him and Kasir Goldson. I think him and Kasir would actually be a really good fight. So I don't know what's going on with Kasir Goldson right now, but if I'm not mistaken, I believe I was hearing some news that he should be fighting very soon. So hopefully we get to see that because I am looking forward to seeing the young kid rise. And he is such a heavily gifted fighter. He's 5'10", 72-inch arm reach out of Albany, New York. And yeah, he fights at, well, they say he fights at super lightweight, but honestly, I want to say he fights at welterweight because if I'm not mistaken, he's actually more built to be a welterweight rather than a super lightweight. So I don't know how he's gonna move, but I hope hopefully he moves his career to become more of a welterweight because he's more built, better as as a welterweight fighter. So yeah, that's about it. Spoj says Jahai Tucker looked awful. Dude was gassed by 4 rounds. Yeah, most definitely. Jahai Tucker looked like dog shit. He looked like those dog treats that you see at that you see at the pet store that are not that good for your dog, and then like you still feed it to your dog anyway. So I just see that out of Jahai Tucker. I think Jahai Tucker just proved to the world like he's just so bad. I don't see how he's that good at 47. And OTB Boxing Class 101 said, looking like he draining weight. Yeah, I agree. I mean, I just don't think Jahai Tucker is that good because, I was gonna also put out there to say like I was there at the Joe Smith Jr. Steve Gefford undercard at the Turning Stone Casino, and when I saw Jahai Tucker face against Akeem Black, he didn't look that good either. He looked like he was just throwing wild ass punches, getting hit most of the time. I mean, if Akeem had a really good jab and he was able to counter those shots that he was throwing at him, I think Akeem Black would have knocked him out. And I mean, there was times within that fight, while I was there, where Jahai Tucker could have easily got knocked out, but he got the job done, but he didn't look any good. And I thought for this recent performance, he looked way worse in this fight. So I mean, credit to um, credit to whatchamacallit, Kelvin Davis, displaying a high level, performance. But you know, Jahai Tucker is definitely food for 147 because if he's gonna stay at this weight, I don't I don't think he should be staying at 47. I think he should move up to 54. But if he's able to make the weight until he's not able to, he definitely needs to stay away, stay away from some high level, rookies, in his division. So I think he definitely needs a lot of work to do, and he definitely needs to just work on his craft. So I think he needs to leave his team. I think he needs to leave his father and go work with some high level coach that's able to help his skills grow. I actually wouldn't mind a trainer like Manny Robles or maybe Derek James. Like basically anybody that's able to piece his craft together and make him into a good fighter. So that's about it, guys. I appreciate you guys coming through. Shout out to the mighty LDBC. And yeah, man, I'm out. Thank you, Spoj, Judah Ben Israel, Teach. Thank you, OTB Boxing Class 101 for coming by. And I'll see you guys later. I'm definitely probably gonna keep making more videos throughout the rest of the day, but all next week I am definitely hyped for Tim Zoo versus Terrell Bechet. And then we have, the brother, Mr. Miguel Burchelt versus, Jeremiah Nakafila. I think that's going to be a high class fight. I think Burchelt's going to knock him out. Honestly, I think, Nakafila, he's going to leave himself wide open to get caught, and I think Burchelt's going to catch him with some really mean shots to knock him out. Plus, that fight's at 135, so I think a 135 built Miguel Bichel is going to look a lot more dangerous compared to the 130 days. So, yeah, that's about it, guys. So, I appreciate you guys for coming by. Be sure to like, rate, comment the video, and I will see you guys later. Until next time, see you guys later. Thank you. Bye.